Do you love breakdowns? Do you need stats? Do you crave insight? Download the AllStar app. UFC, Bellator, PFL 1 Championship, and more. Ad-free, fully customizable. Download the best app in the business. Link in descriptions.
Francis Ngannou, good luck to him. But intertwined with this whole situation is Francis Ngannou. He gets stripped, aka relinquishes the title. And now we got a new title fight, a vacant title fight between Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane at UFC 285, which is not too far away, man. I'm excited for this fight. I think this is a good matchup. Chris, early prediction, early breakdown of this fight.
And you know, when you think about these two guys, Gane and Jones, there's a lot of similarities between the two. You know, they're both really technical, throw a lot of like single strikes from a lot of different angles, really like mix up the kind of strikes that they throw. And so there's a lot of similarities between the two, but I think like Jones, like you got to remember, like Jones at his core, he's a Greco-Roman wrestler, and we saw what Francis Ngannou of all people could do in the wrestling against Gane. And so it's, you know, for the strike, we have no idea. That the short answer is we have no idea what Jon Jones is going to look like. But if I'm just imagining like a bigger version of Jon Jones at light heavyweight against Gane, I got to think like Jones is going to go for the takedowns. He's going to clinch. He's going to take him down. And it's hard for me to pick against Jones, knowing what he's capable of doing if he just goes back to his bread and butter. But, you know, you pair that with him being gone for so long, and Gane is Gane is an exceptional talent. He's done incredible things in like the shortest amount of time in MMA. And so like there's some variables and some X factors in this fight, but if I was a betting man, I would put my money on Jones just because of what Ngannou was able to do on one leg.
Liam, Jones, heavyweight, 80 pounds heavier. I don't know how much heavier it will be, but he's much heavier, much bigger. He probably won't be as like defined. You know, a lot of people will like body shame him even as a heavyweight, most likely when he comes out and weighs in. But what do you see in this one against Gane?
I think that this is a really tricky fight for Ciryl Gane. I thought that Ciryl Gane was on the verge of completing his own Francis Ngannou story arc, to tell you the truth. You know, last year I did think that Francis was going to get the jump on Gane. He had the 5-round experience. He had been working in the United States with a bunch of wrestlers at Extreme Couture, really trying to give himself that leg up. And that's what showed. That was the difference in the fight, in my opinion. You know, Gane was training with Fernand Lopez. He was over in France. The quality and the level of wrestling, just as a broad level of speaking, is not as high there. That's why people train in other places. That's why they get looks. They bring in fighters from other places just to have people that are ingrained in that culture. You don't hear about a lot of French wrestling champions. It's just not where they're from. They're from the United States. They're from Russia. That's why you see guys come out of that part of the world and do it. And there's other places as well. But, you just have to look at where, people are succeeding in some of these skill sets. And I think that Jon Jones, he fits a betting mold for me, which is that them New York boys are going to teach you how to wrestle. I'm a little bit biased now reporting to you live from the great state, but I'll tell you guys, it's been a profitable betting strategy over the last little while. Aljamain Sterling, a New York-based wrestler, Jon Jones, Endicott, New York, stand up. These are guys that are very talented. Patchy Mix, another one, where you're seeing a lot of guys from New York, don't always get the plaudits, and they talk about Iowa, they talk about Pennsylvania, they talk about California and some of these places, but them New York boys are going to teach you how to wrestle once again. And a lot of champions been from New York teaching you how to wrestle. And I think Jon Jones is coming for that belt. I do think that he is, not to be slept on. Y'all must have forgot if you think Jon Jones isn't one of the hardest fights to sign, period, in the UFC. No one wants to fight that guy, because he's extremely dangerous. And every heavyweight that's ever trained with him has said Jon Jones would come in and be the heavyweight champion tomorrow, because he would be. So I think this is a very fascinating fight. The only thing that makes it intriguing, in my view, is that Jon Jones has been gone. So maybe he has regressed. Maybe he finally can be knocked out. Maybe Ciryl Gane has somehow learned how to wrestle better than Jon Jones, who's been doing it since he was a kid. But I don't think any of that's true. I think if Jon Jones decides you're going to the ground, young man, you're going to the ground if you're Ciryl Gane. And I think that Jon Jones, people forget that on top, he's murderous. He's got some of the most vicious ground and pound in the history of mixed martial arts, and he has submission threats, and he can operate from top, and he can move to positions, and he can flow, and he Kimura Vitor Belfort, and he choked Lyoto Machida into a bag of potatoes. Like, people forget how dangerous Jon Jones really is. And, you know, he kind of got bored at light heavyweight. I truly felt that way. I think that people overestimated some of the guys that he was having close fights with because he was having close fights with them. He was barely hanging on to a career, half interested. He said, I'll be back in a couple of years. They'll pay me more money. Now what happens? Their heavyweight champion walks away. They are in desperate need of a new heavyweight champion and a new big fight. So they call the guy that they didn't want to call. They offer him a bag that they didn't want to offer him. And here he is once again to reclaim what he's never lost, which is that championship belt. And I don't like Jon Jones. He beat my hero. I was the guy screaming out, stop yelling, that's an Olympic hero, when he knocked out Daniel Cormier, and everybody's going crazy at Buffalo Wild Wings. But I'll tell you this, Jon Jones is a scary fighter, and no one has ever fought better in the UFC. Not that we've seen, not that I've seen. I've been watching this stuff for a very long time. I think that Volkanovski, you know, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I said that. I thought that was true. I think, you know, it was a dangerous call to put it on the line against Makhachev. But then when you look at this guy, Jon Jones, he has an argument to walk back in. If he wins this fight, he's number one pound for pound in the world again. Because who's ever beat the guy? Nobody.
When you look at this matchup stylistically, right, it's the best for Jones in the heavyweight division at that top 5. It's the best one. I thought if Jones is going to get, and I don't understand why he's the underdog. Like, people need to throw money on Jones right now. It's plus money.
No, let them keep betting the other way. Let's get Jones plus 250. No, I mean, seriously, guys, Ciryl Gane, how could he lose? Come on, he's tough. He's French. You know, there's a lot to like about him. Just go bet 100, 100,000, 100 million, whatever you need to on Gane, and I'll take the other side.
Yeah, James Krause needs to get his 1%ers on the
James
case.
Krause, keep your tentacles off this fight for all things holy, please.
He can move the line, you know, with his 1%ers. Yeah, Jones. I look at him as the favorite in this fight. I think even if Jones went into this fight as the light heavyweight Jon Jones, but on a full camp, motivated, all of that good stuff, right? Because I feel like he's really motivated now. I feel like he took some time away. His love for the sport most likely, you know, reignited throughout that time, right? He's gaining weight, he's lifting, you know, he's just like, he's become this guy. I think he's become a new version of himself, right? Even though he was one of the greatest of all time already. And just the skill set, man. The skill set is undeniable. Like, Gane, I don't know if Jon Jones goes in there and decides, okay, I'm gonna out kickbox the kickboxer. Yes, we're gonna get a more competitive fight, I believe. But if Jon Jones goes in there and says, like, no, I'm going to go in there like I went in there against Chael Sonnen. Remember when he went in there against Chael Sonnen? He was really motivated against Chael Sonnen, right? He looked like he wanted to kill Chael Sonnen. And I feel like that's the Jon Jones we're going to get in this one, heading into the heavyweight division. He's going to want to go in there and kill everybody because why? People are doubting him. A lot of people are doubting him. Like, they're doubting, like, his ability. Of course, we're talking highly of Jon Jones, but there's a lot of people that are doubting Jon Jones. And one thing you know about Jon Jones, he likes to read the comments. And people will go at him hard. And I think he gets driven by that. And I feel like mentally he's going to be there. And if Gane beats Jon Jones, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, I'll be like, oh, I'll be surprised, right? I think Jon Jones, he has this one. I think, like, he's going to be the champion. And he might be the champion for a long time, but Stipe's gonna be waiting in the wings, man. I want to see that fight, to be honest with you. I was more excited for Stipe versus Jones rather than Gane, but you know, Gane seems like he's a little bit easier to deal with. You know, the UFC seemed like they like him because remember when Dana White was asked about Gane's contract, he's like, Gane has a contract. What does that say? There was no negotiation. It's like you fight Jon Jones or you fight nobody. And Jones signed what, a new 8-fight deal with the UFC ahead
Ridiculous.
of this. Ridiculous, man. And you know he's getting paid crazy. He's probably getting paid the money that they were gonna give Francis Ngannou. That's probably what happened, right? They probably gave Francis Ngannou a 8-fight deal, offered him an 8-fight deal for that amount of money. He didn't take it. And he's like, all right, we'll give it to Jon Jones. That's what probably happened. But yeah, excited for this match.
No, they called John with a number minus $1 million. They're like, yeah, just knock a couple off there. Yeah, shave a few off there. John won't know the difference.
You know, Francis called John and said, like, John, come on, dude. Like, this is the numbers, man.
I would love
get
that.
Your money. Get your money. Get your money, John.